Once upon a time, in a land called Hawaii, I thought I could save them. Them, locked in rooms, men and women, patrolling the area to keep you safe. Them, not like me, the less fortunate, ones who know no better. Them, wrapped between corridors of concrete and steel, where the barbed wire fence is the sky. Them, where an IQ test determines how smart you get, how far away from the barbed wire fence you can go, how much bullshit stigma you'll have to endure. Them, the retarded, the syndromed, the lame. Because here's the thing, every single statistic ever written about someone like me would tell you that I shouldn't be here right now. The statistics. Number of disabled Americans, 40 million. Number of disabled Americans unemployed, 6 million. Number of disabled Americans institutionalized, 3 million. I cringe when I hear the word institutionalized. It makes the blood curdle through my mouth. And once upon a time in 2008, I knew I could save them. I met the volunteer coordinator at our local institution and she asked me, what could I do? I told her, I could teach them poetry. She looked away, compassionate, sultry smile turned stone face, and she said, you're the exception, which made me shudder. 5 years now after moving away from home, pushing through the world independently with a steadily earned bachelor's degree, she had absolutely no fucking clue that I would never live in one of these places. Her rules. You will lay them on cotton starch sheets between 7 and 8. You will feed them peanut butter and jelly between 6 and 7. You will shower them for 10 minutes in water no hotter than 82 degrees between 5 and 6. And you see there, every moment was scheduled and charted, and every resident had to be compliant, which means do as you're told, like a robot. Don't think and don't question authority. I told her my grand scheme though. Every week for 2 hours in the afternoon, we would write their freedom songs. Together, they would protest and sing, protest and sing, protest and sing until the barbed wire fence came down and the corridors of concrete and steel moved out of the way and the sunlight revealed itself. And the attendants would push them outside to buses that would shuttle them away from their prison. She looked away. It doesn't work like that. Let me take you to the back ward. These are our hopeless, our untouchables. I opened the door, and the smell burned my nostrils and my eyes began to water. I saw men and women made up of no more than skin and bones, their bodies coated with layers of piss and shit that made their skin nice and shiny, like layer after layer after layer of Crisco. And it wasn't because they wanted to neglect them. It was because after all the rules and regulations and charts for a ward of 85, they had 2 nurses and a nursing assistant to care for them. She took me to see James. Excuse me. James was young, maybe about 28 or 29. He was just a few years older than me. He said he had been in an accident when he was 6 and had lived in the hospital since he was 12 because he got too big and his parents couldn't care for him. He went outside for 15 minutes once a year on his birthday. He smiled when he saw me, a real human that looked just like him. Beaming, his voice no louder than a whisper, he reached for my neck and pulled me close. His mouth was dry, his breath like mothballs, and whispered, tell me how it is on the outside. Tell me about the people. Before I could say anything, I broke away from his grasp and rolled through the barbed wire fence. I could never give him an answer. Needless to say, I never taught poetry there. And that night, and many nights after, I drank myself into shame with the blood curdling through my mouth. I couldn't bear to tell him what the people were like, that they looked through you and not at you. They looked too far upwards and not low enough. They write you off before you open your mouth. And when you smile, they look away. And when you say, excuse me, they look down. And some days, I just don't want to explain myself. And if I have to say, it's okay, just one more time I'll shudder. And sometimes my mouth hurts too much to make the muscles smile. And some nights, I just want someone to hold me tight with their 2 arms wrapped around my chest tightly telling me, it's okay, I'm loved. So my rules today. Eat whatever you want when you feel like it. Smile to whoever you want to. Make the rules as you go along. And don't apologize for anything. Today, the poetry I write is dedicated to James and the people stuck in the barbed wire fences of their mind. I hope someday to have the courage to go and see James again. And maybe I'll lie to let his heart rest a little easier. But until then, I'll protest and sing. Protest and sing. Protest and sing. Thank you.
Nathan Say.